Welcome back, everyone, to Hypno Digest. We're here, of course, at Guzelia Davis's International Hypnosis School. And today we're diving into something a little different. We're going to be talking about clutter.
It's amazing how our homes, they can be so much more than you know, just physical spaces. They can really reflect our inner state, our energy, and even impact our health in ways that we may not even realize.
That's right. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is based on Guzelia's From Chaos to Calm workshop and toolkit. You can find that at hypnosistraining.online, turn chaos into calm. It's packed with practical tips and techniques to help create a calmer, more organized space,
Mm-hmm.
which in turn hopefully will create a calmer mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people I think might kind of dismiss this idea of energy in a home,
hmm
but we've all walked into a room, I'm sure, and you kind of instantly feel this sense of peace, or maybe the opposite. You feel kind of tension and chaos. And Guzalia explains that our belongings, they actually hold energy. And when that energy becomes stagnant or blocked by clutter, it can impact us on a physical and an emotional level.
It's true. I can think of times when I've gone into someone's home and just felt like, "Well, I can't relax here."
Right.
And she actually identifies certain items, he calls them energy drainers, that can contribute to that feeling of heaviness or stagnation.
Yeah, and some of them are really surprising.
Okay.
It talks about broken
Okay,
clocks.
broken clocks. I actually have one up in my attic. What's the significance of that?
Well, you have to think about the symbolism of a broken clock. It represents kind of stopped time. So it can reflect a fear of moving forward, maybe feeling stuck in the past. And that can prevent us from embracing new opportunities or having new experiences.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. Like, part of us is literally frozen in time. What other surprising items are on this energy drainer list?
Let me see. Well, another one that she talks about a lot is mirrors
Okay.
facing the bed.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that bad feng shui? I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Something about disrupting your sleep.
Right, yeah, so there could be some truth to that. Mirrors, they reflect light and movement. So even little subtle changes in the room at night could be amplified by the mirror and disturb your sleep.
Okay.
But even beyond that, there's a psychological component too.
How so?
Well, mirrors, they reflect our own energy back at us, right?
hmm
So if we're constantly confronted with our own reflection, especially when we're trying to sleep, it can create a sense of self-consciousness or anxiety.
So it's not just about the physical clutter, it's also the emotional energy
Yes.
attached to an object.
Yes. And another category that she says can have a lot of emotional baggage is unwanted gifts.
Oh, tell me about it. I have a whole drawer full of those. Why are those such energy drainers?
Well, they can represent a sense of obligation. Like you feel like you have to keep something even if you don't like it, especially if it's from someone you're not that close to. It becomes this reminder of maybe a strained connection or even past hurts.
So it's not just about the object itself, but the emotional weight we attach to it. Holding on to those unwanted gifts is almost like holding on to those negative feelings.
Exactly. And that can really create a sense of stagnation
Mm.
and keep us from fully embracing the present moment. It really is amazing how, even seemingly insignificant items can just have this like power over us.
Yeah, they do. But all this talk about energy, emotional baggage, I'm wondering what's the actual impact of all this clutter on our health and well-being?
Well, that's a great question. There's actually quite a bit of research that shows a clear link between clutter and increased levels of stress and anxiety and even depression.
Makes sense. When my place is cluttered, it makes me feel so overwhelmed.
Right.
I can't relax. I can't focus.
Exactly. Our brains, they really crave order. And when we're constantly bombarded with visual stimuli,
hmm
like piles of papers and overflowing shelves and, that laundry basket that never seems to empty, it creates a sense of what they call cognitive overload. It's like our minds can't even find a place to rest.
And if you're already feeling stressed or anxious,
Yeah.
being surrounded by clutter just makes it so much worse. It's like this vicious cycle.
Absolutely. And it's not just mental health that's impacted. It can also affect our physical health too.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. Clutter collects dust, and that can trigger allergies, respiratory problems. It can create a breeding ground for bacteria, even pests. And not to mention, if you're constantly tripping over things
Mhm.
or struggling to find what you need, that can lead to accidents, injuries.
That's true. I never really thought about it that way. You just kind of dismiss it as like, oh, it's messy.
Right.
But it sounds like there could be some serious consequences.
There can be. And did you know that it can even affect our sleep?
Really? I definitely sleep better when my room is tidy. Is there like a scientific reason for that?
There is. Studies have actually shown that a cluttered bedroom can interfere with our sleep patterns. When our environment is chaotic, our minds tend to follow suit, so it makes it much harder to relax and fall asleep.
It's like our brains can't switch off when they're surrounded by visual reminders of things we haven't done or, things we need to take care of.
Exactly. So, decluttering isn't just about aesthetics or convenience. It's about creating a space that supports our well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Okay, so where do we even begin? I think for a lot of people, it just feels so overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be. But Gosalia, she gives some really great tips in her, from chaos to calm toolkit, and she really emphasizes starting small. Don't try to tackle your whole house at once. Maybe just pick one area, like a drawer or a shelf, maybe one corner of a room, and just focus on that.
That's a good tip. Much less daunting than thinking about cleaning out my entire closet.
Right. And once you've cleared that one small space, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment. And that will motivate you to keep going. It kind of creates a positive feedback loop.
I think that's so important because it's easy to get discouraged
Yeah.
and give up before you've even really started.
It is. Another one of really helpful tips is the 1-year rule.
Okay,
If you haven't used something in a year, chances are you don't need it.
that makes a lot of sense.
So that can be a good guideline for deciding what to keep and what to let go of.
Yeah, it's easy to hold on to things just in case.
Yeah.
But if it's been sitting there for a year, it's probably time to say goodbye.
Exactly. And also dealing with sentimental items, which I know can be the hardest things to let go of.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are always my stumbling block.
Yeah.
Any advice for how to get over that?
Asking yourself 2 key questions. 1, does this item bring me genuine joy? And 2, does it have a place in my current life? And if the answer to either of those is no, then it might be time to consider letting it go.
I like that. It's about being honest with yourself, about what really matters. What's just taking up space, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah, and it's not just about getting rid of things. It's also about bringing in things that promote positive energy, like incorporating nature into your home. Plants or fresh flowers.
I love that.
Yeah.
I always feel more peaceful when I'm surrounded by nature.
And there's a reason for that. Plants symbolize growth vitality,
Right.
and they actually improve the air quality.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, even just rearranging furniture can make a big difference.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, it can improve the flow of energy in your space. Think about creating clear pathways, open spaces, and it can just make your home feel more spacious and inviting.
That's a good idea. Sometimes just changing things up can create a whole new energy.
Absolutely. And speaking of energy, have you thought about digital clutter?
Oh, yeah.
Our inboxes, our social media feeds, even our phone home screens, it can become just as cluttered as our physical spaces. And that creates that sense of overwhelm. I feel like I'm constantly bombarded with notifications and updates. It's exhausting.
Right. So Ghazali, she includes this digital detox guide in her toolkit with tips for streamlining your online life and creating more mental space.
It's like decluttering your mind as well as your physical space.
Exactly. And that's where hypnosis comes in.
Okay.
It can be a really powerful tool for addressing the deeper psychological blocks that might be preventing us from creating lasting change.
Okay, so how can hypnosis help with decluttering?
Well, one of the techniques that Ghazali uses is called parts therapy.
Parts therapy, what's that?
So this is a really fascinating approach that recognizes that we have these different inner voices or parts, and sometimes those parts can be in conflict with each other. So for example, you might have a part of you that loves to collect things, and then another part that really craves a more minimalist lifestyle.
Oh, wow, I can definitely relate to that. Like this inner tug of war going on. And so hypnosis can help you communicate with those different parts, understand their motivations, and then find a way to create harmony.
So it's not about forcing yourself to get rid of things, but understanding the reasons why you might be holding on to them.
Right. It's about creating a sense of inner peace and alignment, which will then naturally lead to a more organized and harmonious outer environment.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like addressing the root of the problem instead of just treating the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
What other hypnotic techniques does she use in the workshop?
Well, she also uses hypnotic suggestions to help you visualize your ideal space and then let go of those negative emotions associated with clutter and even boost your motivation to take action.
Wow. So it's really about tapping into the power of the subconscious mind to create lasting change.
Exactly. It's about rewiring those old patterns and beliefs that might be holding you back from creating the home and the life that you really want.
It really is amazing how our inner world and our outer world, they're so connected. Decluttering isn't just about, tidying up. It's really about creating a space that supports our well-being like on every level.
It really is. And Guzalia's From Chaos to Calm workshop is so great because it provides this comprehensive approach. It combines practical tips with those powerful hypnotic techniques to help you create that lasting transformation.
Wow, that's incredible. It really highlights just how versatile hypnosis is and how it can be used to address so many different challenges.
It really can, and it all starts with taking that first step, making that decision to create change, and then taking action.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling super inspired to do some decluttering and mental reorganizing.
It's amazing how much our external environment can affect our internal state, and these tools can be so powerful for creating positive change.
Absolutely. And for our listeners out there, if you want to learn more about Guzelia Davis's From Chaos to Calm workshop and toolkit, you can find all the details on her website at hypnosis-training.online. Turn chaos into calm.
It's a fantastic resource.
And before we go, we want to leave you with something to think about. What one item in your home do you think is holding you back the most? And why?
Take some time to reflect on that. Consider how letting go of that item both physically and emotionally might create positive shifts in your life.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of clutter energy and the amazing power of hypnosis. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and you're feeling inspired to create a calmer, more organized space for yourself and a more peaceful and empowered you.
Until next time, embrace the power of your mind and create the life you truly desire.